And I remember, then, well, wait, I can do it. I have energy. And I just made the connection in my brain. It's not difficult. It's just a broom, and I just do this for, half an hour. So I just did
Sure.
that. And my
Sure.
mom was super happy because she didn't ask me to, right? I just did it. But when you grow up like that, this is how you think. It's like, okay, what can I do, and so on. So I really love that.
Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by my man, Audley Stevenson, the Odd Man.
Greetings and salutations, Audley Stevenson, and I'm back for another edition of the most audacious podcast the internet has to offer. You've got to lock the Audacious Living Podcast, and it continues to be my ongoing goal and pleasure to be here as we help our listeners live their best audacious lives ever. Welcome to episode 247, and in this insightful, inspiring episode, we have the distinct pleasure of welcoming Robert Indries. He's a successful entrepreneur engineer with a remarkable journey from humble beginnings to building a portfolio of 8 businesses, generating 7 figures. Join us as Robert shares his wisdom, experiences, discussing the importance of authenticity, strategic thinking, and the evolution of personal perspective over time. With valuable insights and thought-provoking discussions, this episode is sure to leave you inspired and motivated to live your best audacious life. Hey, Robert, thank you for joining me here today on the Audacious Living Podcast. It's an absolute pleasure and treat. I always say, anyone that I always appreciate people that want to spend time and talk about all kinds of good stuff in the world, how we can, make this world a better place. I'm always appreciative of that. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here.
Thank you so much for having me. I love it.
Awesome. We sort of got in a pre conversation a moment ago, and I wanted to stop because I didn't press record yet, and we were sort of getting into the ways people can live our lives, and really on this podcast, the focus is so much about us as individuals being our authentic selves and living our own best audacious life, right? I'm not living your life, Robert, and you're not living mine, but we're doing what we want for us as individuals because that's where we find joy and happiness and fulfillment and all that good stuff. And so maybe as a starting point, because I'm sure people are wondering, okay, who's this Robert guy and what's he all about? Maybe you can fill our listeners in on who you are, what you're about, and what got you to the point we're at now.
Sure. So I was born in a developing country in let's say mediocre living family. I say that with respect to my parents, so I don't say poor. So it was we had a roof, we had food, we had clothing, even though it was secondhand. We had it, and so
humble is the word that comes to mind.
Humble, yes, humble, yes. We had very humble beginnings, and that's I love that because in that world, what mattered was what you do with your time, right? Like you didn't think about the Joneses, like you didn't think about anything else. You just thought about, okay, well, what work needs to be done today, right? Well, today we need to feed the chicken, or right now we need to feed the chicken. Then we need to go milk the cow. Then we need to walk the cows because they need to grain and so on and so forth. So we need to keep being engaged, right? And I remember, for example, moments when my mom was like, "Oh gosh, the yard needs to be swept, and I really can't do it." And I remember, then, well, wait, I can do it. I have energy, and I just made the connection in my brain. It's not difficult. It's just a broom, and I just do this for half an hour. So I just did that, and my mom was super happy because she didn't ask me to, right? I just did it. But when you grow up like that, this is how you think. It's like, okay, what can I do, and so on. So I really love that. At one point, I became very interested in technology. I really, really loved it. And then I started going into tech. And eventually I did get my degree in civil engineering. Then I got my master's and so on and so forth. So I'm an engineer by background. so far with myself and my team, we've built over 200 projects, anything from autonomous flying drones to dermatology sensors to infrastructure for big business and so on and so forth. So we've built a lot of things. So that's how I started. And long story short, now I have a portfolio of 8 businesses generating 7 figures. We're in a good place with the parts of our business or the parts of our portfolio that help other businesses grow. We've just recently like drew a line and said, okay, well, so far we've generated over $500 million for our clients, right? So we're very, very happy with that milestone.
Right.
If everything goes well, in the next, 5 to 10 years, we can, pass $1 billion generated. So the more value we can add, the better. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm now in a point where I see the world a little bit differently than I used to, 15, 20 years ago. And I just look to be of service even more than I ever have, right? Like, how can I help this company, this organization, this initiative, this charity? I just hop off a call with a nonprofit on Friday. The call went amazingly well. They help people, they help by changing laws. Literally, that's what they do. They change the laws when the law is not ethical and they can prove it, right, with facts, with thousands of cases or hundreds of cases. They literally go to the policymakers and change the policy. Wow. That's what they do. And so they do a bunch of amazing work. And I told them, I really love what you do. I know you can't afford me, but I really want to help you. So let's figure out a way to work together. So we're in that discussion right now, and so I'm very happy we could do that.
I love it. And so congratulations on your journey. We'll talk a bit about your journey. One of the things I'm intrigued at and very curious about is you talked about you seeing the world differently now than then. Can you give me sort of what the then and now look like to give that contrast?
Yeah. So back then,
and how long would it be back then? Like, how long are we talking about here?
Let's say 15 years ago or something like that, right? So over a decade ago, I believed I can do anything, which I still believe to an extent, but it's different. That the perception, that how I see that is different, right? So just to give you an overarching view, when I said at 18 or 19, 20, whatever, I can do anything, the moment I started my business, I said, my first business, I've never had one, right? I said, oh, in a year, I'm going to pass $1 million. In 2 years, it's going to be at 3 million. And then by year 5, it's going to be at over 10 million, whatever. I don't know what goals I had, but I said, I can do anything. I can make this work. Okay.
Right.
Fast forward 15 years, I still believe I can do anything, but now I trust the data, right? So when data tells me that I cannot compete with, the newest Kobe Bryant in basketball, then I don't try, right? It's just like, I know I'm not going to beat the best Kobe Bryant, like whomever he is now, right? I don't know who the top player is. So I can't compete with them at that level. So even though I can do anything, I trust the data to tell me that the guy has maybe 50,000 hours of practice. I have 500 hours. So he practiced 100 times more. So maybe he's not 100 times better, but he just needs to be twice as good as me, and I can compete already, right? So just like that, whenever we do business, I invest in or start or join 1 to 3 businesses a year that I believe in and I want to grow. And so I have very specific investment criteria. When I say investment, the main investment is my time, because I don't have a lot of it, right? So money I can keep making and making. Time I can't make more of. So my time investment is the most crucial thing that I decide on when going into a venture. And so when I look at things, I look at, okay, what does data tell me? How can this succeed? How fast? What needs to happen? Am I willing to commit this level of effort? And so on and so forth. So I think that's one of the main things that changed, is that I still believe I can do anything. At the same time, for example, if I want to be better than the next, Kobe Bryant, then what I need to do, I need to invest in human augmentation. I need to invest in faster reflexes, bionical things in my
Right.
body, whatever.
Right.
And, implants in my brain. So I'm quicker in reflexes. So I still believe I can do anything. I'm just more real about the possibility of that happening. Right.
Right.
And so I'm not going to augment myself just to play better basketball. So basically, because I'm a little bit more mature in my thinking, I'm now also more selective of what that anything is that I can do.
Interesting. The word, as you describe it, the word that came to mind is strategic, and
Strategic.
is what you right in terms of being wise about the choices and understanding which choices are the best for you in that moment. Was there something that was there an event or catalyst that sort of got you there, or was it just through the process of life and experiences?
So I think one thing that got me here, which anyone can relate to, is utter failure over and over and over again. Like, I mean, there's only so many times you can say, this is the year where I break 1 million. This is the year where, and then it doesn't happen 3-4 years in a row. I'm like, I'm doing something wrong. Wait.
Right.
And so just data, more data. The more data I got, the smarter it allowed me to become, because that's how we grow all of the businesses we grow, through data, right? And so we tell people many times, we used to do a lot of coaching before. We've helped over 300 companies grow their business and their practice and so on and so forth. At the same time, something that I would keep telling people, okay, let's agree on an amazing campaign based on anyone's standards, copywriting, call to action,
Right.
market research, and so on and so forth. But guess what? If we send 1,000 emails and we get 0 leads, it was still a shitty campaign. Excuse my French. It's like the reality is the data. So it doesn't matter how good we think the campaign was. It needs to change. Let's take that data and ask people, if we can, email them. Hey, I sent you an email last week about this. You haven't said anything. Did something in my email turn you off? Or is it not the right time? What is it? So get the feedback, get the data, get as much data as you can get, because the moment you get more data, you get to a point where your decisions become naturally better, because you have
Right.
so much data to back that decision.
So, Robert, are you trying to convince me with all the successes that you've had that you failed at something?
Gosh, crazy. Yes, many things. Last year, for example, I had one of my biggest failures. We had someone in one of my companies that, I mean, it might sound weird, but they were a psychopath, right? And so there's I did research after that, because I didn't understand what happened. I was so confused at the end of it. And so I did research on it, and there's a dark triad. It's psychopath, narcissism, and Machiavellism, or something like that.
Mhm.
So it's like a dark triad. So one person that has one has the other as well, or the others as well. Like, they have all three all the time. So
Okay.
now all of us have ego. I'm not talking about ego. I'm talking about a mental inability to understand that you are at fault, that you are really the only reason this went poorly is because of you, right? You're unable, you do not have that mental capability, right? And so we had one of those people in one of our companies, and I never worked with the narcissist before, or at least not at this level. And so we worked with them, and they kept lying and lying, white lies here, white lies here, white lies here, bringing excuses, pointing fingers at others, confusing everyone about why it's not working, when in fact they were failing at doing what they were supposed to do over and over and over again. So I used to believe that I want to help every single person I am granted the opportunity to have in my company, or in one of my companies. So I have like almost like a parental responsibility to help them. And that perspective has changed for me as well, because now I realize that not even family is what people say it is. If you have someone in your family that is literally hurting you, that is literally always mean to you, that is
Right.
literally, someone that does not add any value and worse, just damages you and your relationship with your wife or whatever, don't stop speaking with them. That's it. It doesn't matter because people say, well, we have the same parents or we have the same mom, like same blood or whatever. We all have the same blood. I can prove it statistically that 99.9% of you and I is the same. Everything about us is the same, right? Okay, in this specific case, you're black, I'm white. Does not matter. Still 99.9% of us is the same, right? I mean, we share 99% of our DNA with pigs, and they look very different. Not very different, but you know what I mean. Like
I do
they're
understand
very
what you're
different.
saying.
So imagine people from one to another, right? And so just to say that, oh, because we were birthed by the same mother, I now am indebted to tolerate your nonsense for the rest of my life. No, I am not. I'm sorry, right? And so this is now what I believe, that if someone comes into my business and I failed to vet them properly, my fault, no problem, cut loss right here.
Right.
You move on, I move on, and then let me get someone that actually cares, that doesn't lie in my face, that doesn't skew the facts, that doesn't point fingers, doesn't uh, start gossip or things like that in the company, and so on and so forth. So this person even stole clients from us. This person stole employees from us. It's just total losses for that business were over $2 million, just so
Right.
you get an idea. And so this was one of my biggest failures. And I say quotes because you only really fail if you give up. But at the end of the day, I lost 2 years of my life where I could have already been maybe at $20 million right
Right.
now or whatever. So it's at the end of the day, you do have a lot of failures on your journey, but
Sure.
these are the lessons that you learn, and you become someone that now, if I lose everything I have, I can literally make a few calls to some people I know that I have in my network and say, I want a job. Please get me a job. Like, how can I work in your company? I land a six-figure job the same day I want a job, right? And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not saying
No,
this to
no,
sound arrogant or anything, but
no.
I have such a big network and I have so much value to add that I literally can land a six-figure job from one day to the next. So
Sure. Understood.
I'm literally set up for life as far as most people would be concerned. And so at this point in time, the only thing that I lose is time to reach the goals that I want, the visions that I have, right? Because obviously I had certain visions up until 2 years ago. And because of what happened to like 1.5, 2 years ago and up until last year, now those are delayed or they might never happen because now the industry changes.
Right.
Now AI is a thing. 2 years ago, it wasn't a thing.
Right.
It
Right.
started becoming a thing, right? And so everything shifts. So now you need to say, okay, I'm not doing that anymore because I mean it is what it is. Let's just take data
Move on.
for
Right.
what it is and then move
Yep.
on.
Yep. Yep. What I find really interesting about that, and thank you for sharing that example
Of course.
of your failure, is clearly it was about someone else, but you still took ownership of it.
I am responsible. I put up with their lies. I knew they're lying and I tried to help
Mm,
them understand that it's on them, that they need to work. I've tried so hard. I kid you not. I've
mm,
cried multiple times because I couldn't take the pressure anymore because I
right.
couldn't figure it out. But I've never dealt with a narcissist. I didn't know
Right.
that this person is incapable of understanding what I'm telling them. This is
Understood.
very different than willingness,
Gotcha.
right?
Yep. Yep.
They would have probably had the willingness to understand, but they didn't. They could not understand. So that's the difference. If you work with someone that's clinically has an issue, right? Then you're thinking, well, I mean, there's nothing to do here, right? I can't. Like they need to have a different position, a different role, or may work in a different company on something else, whatever, right? But in this role that they were put, obviously they cannot succeed, right? And so I failed. I really did fail. And so I'm sorry for all of the clients that suffered. I'm sorry for all of the
Sure.
employees that suffered because of that. I'm so sorry for
Yeah.
all of that. And I'm not sorry as in regret, that's on my soul and I can't sleep at night. No, no, I'm sorry because I could have been better.
Yep.
At the same time, I was, whatever. I was in my late 20s, early 30s, right?
Sure.
And so on.
Sure.
So it's like,
Sure.
what do I expect of myself? Because not even people that are people in their 50s take companies bankrupt. In their 50s, they've been working for 30 years. My entire lifespan, they've been working in, jobs and so on, and they still take a company bankrupt. So
Yeah.
what that's data. And so what do I say if I'm, 29, 30, 31, and so on and so forth? Obviously, I don't have this figured out. So I don't look at it with regret. I'm like, I could have done better with
Sure.
that. So what I'm going to do is I will try to do better next time, and then next
Yeah.
time, and so
Yeah.
on and so forth.
I commend. I just, yeah, I commend you for taking ownership the way you do. That's fantastic, and really seeing, what you could do better. And I think a lot of times in life, if more of us can do that and take ownership for things, or instead of pointing the finger, sometimes things could be totally different. So I wanted to acknowledge that for sure, for sure. Um,
Thank you.
can we sort of talk about the journey? Because if you give a snapshot of your life, right? It's moving from a farm to owning 8 businesses, and on the verge of helping other businesses make $1 billion. Like, I mean, like that is a huge cataclysmic leap, and that you made there. When you sort of stop and look back at the journey and all that you went through, what resonates with you?
Um, so what I there are two things that I feel impact someone's success to a very, very large degree on their journey. Because success you define as you want, but basically to achieve it, right, you have two things there. Number one is basically the willingness to try, to do. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to, dozens, maybe hundreds of people that told me, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I'm like, okay, pull out a pen and paper, write down 10 things you like doing, or that you really felt joy, like real joy when you were doing them, or whatever. Like, write down as many things as you can. And now say, okay, which one of these can you make money on? Like, like maybe marketing, maybe it's engineering, maybe it's whatever it is for you, gardening, flower
Right.
shops, whatever it is for
Right.
you,
Yeah.
Yeah. How can you make money in those things? And say, okay, which one of these careers would you like? And say, okay, well, I don't know. Okay, you don't know now. In 2023, whenever you're listening to this, you don't know now. Okay, so now get the data. This is what I was telling you at the beginning. Now you try one, pick one, your best guess, do that for half a year, 2 years, whatever, right? And then get the data, see if you like it. Maybe you will love it and it's the thing you'll do for the rest of your life. Maybe something else. Maybe you'll love it like crazy, and 10 years from now, you'll still want to do something different, because guess what? You've been doing this for 10 years. Now you want to do something else. Perfectly reasonable,
Yes.
right? You do not need like an overarching life goal, because guess what? It doesn't really exist in that way, right? The people that had overarching life goals for the entirety of their life, they died young. Let me tell you, right? All of them. Look at every single person that had an overarching life goal. Almost all of them died young, right? Every single one. Even if you look at people like Gandhi, Gandhi was a lawyer. No one talks about that.
Oh,
Gandhi was
interesting.
literally a lawyer
I didn't know that.
for half of his life. He was a
Wow.
lawyer, right? And then he did something else, and then blah blah, and so on and so on. And he became a thought leader after that, at the latter half of his life, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the reality, right? Jesus, I think, died when he was 33 or something like that, right? Look at Martin Luther King, look at Malcolm X, look at all of these people. When did they die? Okay, they had an overarching life goal. If those people would have lived 30 years more, I kid you not, they would have changed, pivoted a couple times at least,
Yeah.
right? Because look at Bill Gates, one of the most successful people as far as anyone's concerned. They have a family life, they have an amazing wife, they have beautiful children, they have one of the biggest companies on the planet. They pivoted multiple times. At the beginning of his career, he was doing engineering work, just like we are in one of our companies.
Yep.
Then he did Microsoft, right? Then the company pivoted, I don't know how many times, to do Office and Microsoft and Xbox and anything else they were doing, right? Gaming
Right.
studios, whatever. And now he's doing the foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates
Yes.
Foundation, which at the beginning, by the way, was curing malaria. And right now, they're trying to find a sustainable recycling for sewage, right, for developing countries.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
here's a person that you could say, oh, this guy has it figured out. They pivoted 4 times in their life. So why are you beating yourself up? Just do whatever it is that you want to do, right? And so that's one. And the next thing is get off your butt and do the work. Stop talking about it and do it, right? Whenever I talk with someone, like let's say you and I have a conversation and you say, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do whatever. If you and I meet a month from now and you say, oh, Robert, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do whatever. I'm like, but you told me that a month ago. Well, I'm not ready yet. I'm like, well, that means you will never do it. I'm telling you now, if this is how you think, you will never do it. Like, no, I'm going to start in a month. Don't tell me you're going to start. Prove to me. Send me the proof that you have started, and then I will believe you, right? The only thing that will actually get you closer to your goals will be action, not speaking. Acting, right? Speaking does not get you closer. Acting does. And acting, I don't mean like acting like an actor. I mean like taking actions, right? Taking actions, right? So this is what I believe. And so what I feel is maybe this is a little bit woo for some of the people asking, but if you look at things like Christianity or Stoicism and so on and so forth, you will find in those the roots of success. Every single success book on the planet is not new. Every single principle that you find in the success books is already in the Bible. It's already in Stoicism. It's already everywhere. It was defined thousands of years ago. You didn't know about it, fine. But it's the same principles 2,000 years ago that it is right now today, right? And you can feel it in the Bible. Don't lie, don't cheat, right? Just look at the sins. What's it called?
Commandments.
Sloth. Sloth is a sin, which means that you need to do the opposite of sloth, which means is to be productive, right? Lazy. Okay. Right. Gluttony is another sin, which means to overeat. Greed. Well, eat less, right? Greed. Be less fat, eat less. Yeah. Greed, exactly. Greed is another one. So don't be greedy. Add value instead, right? Demand the price that you deserve, but add the value for that price, right? Don't be greedy. Blah, 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 right? And so on. Everything is already there. Right. So I can tell you that there's nothing new in here. Like, it's new to you. When you learn about something, please be mindful that you just learned about it. Because if you read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, the guy wrote that 1,000-something years ago, right? Jesus wrote, he didn't write, but his apostles wrote things 2,000 years ago, right? And the Old Testament is even older than that, right? 1,000 and so on. Stoicism, similar, 2,000 years old, blah, 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 blah. I can keep going on and on. You have, Taoism, Confucianism, or whatever it's called, right? That's, I don't know how many thousands of years old, and so on. The same principles over and over and over again. They never change because it's always the same. So just follow them. Stop searching for something. Just follow the principles of success. Stop thinking there's a silver bullet. If you're unhappy, that means you're doing something that's not aligned with your values. Do things that are aligned with your values, and that's it.
Do you remember when the point that you got to where you start to see like you're going in a real direction? Like, because again, when you're on your path, you're doing something and you're committed to it. You're not necessarily always going, okay, I've reached success, right? You're not thinking I'm successful now. You're just working, you're doing, continuing on. But we do get to a point where like, oh wow, I think I'm here. Do you remember what that was like for you?
Yes, I do remember it. So I can tell you about 2 rushes, so maybe 3 rushes, but 2 of them are more important. Number 1 was the first technical project that I've done, the first time in my life. I was working in a factory, in a manufacturing plant as one of the guys on the line, right? I was just, hammering things and pushing them. And so I got in a discussion with the owner. I gave them feedback on their system. I don't know why, but I felt it's, outdated. I was already very into tech at that age. And then he told me that they're thinking of upgrading and doing things. And I asked him to let me try. He eventually let me try. And so, long story short, a few weeks later, I come back and I show him what I've built, and he was blown away. He said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you built this." Okay, so I was, I think, 14 and a half at the time or something like that.
Okay.
So that's when I built my first, let's say, system that would help a business run itself, right? So I really like that. Was the first time I realized I'm onto something. Like I can go, I can do stuff. This is cool. I really love this. I am being paid so much more money than in my previous. Like that's when I realized. That's when it clicked that I can do this. Until then I knew it's possible because I've read it. I read about it in books. I wanted to be an engineer, but then that's the first time I got paid as an engineer. Even though I was 14, I had no formal education. I was just learning from books and the internet. Even the internet was new back then.
Right.
So I had that, and I enjoyed that. Then I had another epiphany at one point when I realized how to actually make money, and so then I went from the 5 figures to 7 figures in a year, right? So that was a crazy leap for me. That was when I was 25, so that was 10 years after I started working, things I wanted to do. And so I became a millionaire when I was 25, and we just kept working and working and working. And 2 years ago, approximately 3 years ago, I was in my living room.
Yep.
Lie down on the couch, looking at the ceiling, and I was thinking of what should I be doing right now. And I kept thinking, maybe I should do this. Oh no, that person's handling this. Maybe I should do this. Oh no, this person's handling this. Maybe I should do no. And everything that was running through my mind was already delegated and handled by other people, by procedures, by the systems I set in place, everything.
Right.
That was the moment in which I was like, oh my God, I've made it. I literally do not need to work anymore. We had money. We had a beautiful house, 3-story house. We had a fully electric car, luxury car. We had, anything we wanted, we had, right? And I didn't need to work anymore. We had money saved up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I literally don't need to do anything anymore. So this was a few years ago. This was like I think I was like 29 or 30 at the time. I'm like, okay, I can literally retire now. So I really liked it. It was a great feeling, and it really opened my eyes because I'm like, I can do anything I want now. And then the beauty started. Then the game started. I'm like, wow, let me do this. Let me do that. Let me try this. Let me try that. Right? Everything started from there. I just loved it. It was great.
Amazing. Well,
it's still great.
No, definitely congratulations. And
Thank
you. I do like the fact that you got there and it just kind of almost like you were woken up and didn't realize it. Like, wow, I am here.
Yes.
Which is such an awesome feeling. I'm not there, but I get it. It would be. I'm just saying. I imagine it would be an awesome feeling. I'm curious about because as you sort of talk about sort of your journey, the part about your journey that I find rather intriguing is the desire and willingness to help other businesses be profitable and generate revenue. When did that work into the equation for you? When did you realize that you wanted to give back in this fashion? Because I would imagine that wasn't on the radar initially, or maybe it was.
So initially it wasn't on the radar because I always wanted to work as an engineer. I never wanted to own businesses. So I eventually had enough bad experiences working for others that I realized that people don't really care about you, or they care much less. They have their own agenda and so on. So I said, okay, let me make my own businesses where I can actually care about people and love them and treat them, very fairly and so on and so forth. So I had that thing going on, and then I started that, and we basically, in engineering, you always help another company because you don't have like a person on the street coming to buy candy from you, right? It's a business that says, I want to innovate within my business. I want to take it from 5 million to 10 million. This is the system I need. This is the app I need. This is the robot I need. This is whatever it is I need, right? You do that. So I naturally went into that because I wanted to be an engineer in one company, like for example in Tesla, whatever, right? I don't know if I would like it to work there. I'm not saying it's an amazing place to work. What I'm saying is that's what I imagine myself doing. And so basically I didn't get that.
Okay.
And so I pivoted, which I tell people all the time, pivot whenever data tells you should. And so I pivoted to doing basically consulting work for others. By consulting, I mean doing the work itself. Then I started hiring other people to help me do the work. And then it just went on and on and on to, our engineering company now has rendered, again, over 200 projects in 19 different sectors across, I believe, like over a dozen countries. Amazing. Right? Dozens and dozens of senior engineers that have worked with us, right? Amazing people, very passionate, very talented. And so we've built so many things, and it is just very cool. And so from there, people would ask us, could you help me promote this? I'm like, I guess I can. Let me try. And then we would use data to promote it, because guess what? Statistically, no one in the marketing space knows math, right? Because they're creatives, like, oh my gosh, yes, tell me more, Okay, so I would use math to make businesses work. Whenever we would hire someone and, they would like, I don't know, write blog articles or whatever and so on, they're like, oh, this is such an amazing piece. I'm like, I don't know, let's see if it converts. Like, well, but it's an amazing piece, don't you agree? Let the data tell us if it's an amazing article. I'm not going to judge that. Let's put it online. Let's see how much it converts to leads, right? Lo and behold, people that focus on, oh my God, this is an amazing piece or an amazing ad, don't do well, because they have their ego too high, right? They're like, oh, I made such an amazing ad, such an amazing article or whatever. And it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the numbers in marketing, right? Did you spend $1,000 and make $500, or did you spend $1,000 and make $2,000, right? Like, what's the reality there? Right. So we manage millions and millions in ad spend, and we manage millions in other types of services, such as SEO, copywriting, conversion rate optimization, outreach over email or things of that nature, right? And so on and so forth. So we make millions in doing that, but our clients make hundreds of millions, right? And so typical client ROI we see is anywhere between 5 to 20x return on investment for the year, right? And so we don't do anything that's less than a year. We only do partnerships, because it's not worth our time to be in the gig economy, to do this ad here, this article here. We don't do that. Either someone works with us and they partner with us and we grow their business, right? Or they don't, and we just say, like, you should work with someone else. We're very respectful, right? So that's basically it. And then it just went into that, right? So then people were asking, Robert, how are you managing these businesses? Could you help us? I was like, sure, I can help you. And we did that. We did consulting. And now what we do, we don't do consulting anymore. We literally go in and operate your business for you. It's something that's very new. It doesn't exist as much, but it's like chief of operations as a service, right? So basically, you say, I want my business to operate better, more effectively. I want to be more profitable or make more or whatever. Or I have this business that's making 3 million. I want to take it to 5 or to 10. So you say, okay, I need a chief of operations. I've tried people and they didn't work. Okay, guess what? We can do all of that for you, right? We can help you with the hiring. We can help you with the finances, with the contracts, with the systems, with anything, right? Sure. Everything we can do for you. And we noticed this is such a better business model, because before I would have a coaching call with you. I would tell you what you need to do. Next week, we would have another coaching call and you'd be like, well, Robert, my kid had issues in school, this happened in business and so on, and I didn't really do what we agreed I should do. I'm like, your business is not going to grow unless the actions are taken. We can talk about them and you can keep paying me, but I don't want that. So instead of you paying me thousands of dollars for me to consult you, right? My retainers were 6 figures of me helping businesses grow, but they would make millions. And so now, instead of giving me money for me to tell you what you need to do, let me just do the work for you. because I know what needs to be done. I do it better, faster,
Yep.
and which
It
there.
saves me time, right? You save me
Exactly.
time. Yeah.
I don't need to be there anymore. And it's
Yeah.
so beautiful. I don't like, I have no ego attached. I don't need to be the guy that
Love
says
it.
how this works, right? I'm like, no, your business will grow, right? You can be joyous that you have someone actually helping you, right? It's not that you stop paying me like consulting and then nothing happens. No, the business is there. The people, it's like part of your team. It's like your employees now, right? And we just do that over and over again, and your business just grows from there, right?
Brilliant.
So that's how it just pivoted into that. Not, it wasn't a strategy in mind.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and sometimes that happens, right? But I think to your point you made earlier, that only can happen if we're taking action. And you clearly
Exactly.
have taken action to put yourself in a situation, because we can sit down and you talk about the importance of data, and I totally agree with you. And respect that viewpoint around the importance of data. But all our time can't be poured looking at the numbers. We still have to sort of take action and move forward. And sometimes it's not until the rubber hits the road, so to speak, that we recognize, oh, okay, we get some perspectives, or we get viewpoints, or we see another way of doing things.
Yeah.
Again, but that only could have happened because of the action that was taken.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hearing from you loud and clear, which is so key.
Yeah. So two things here. Number one, just to clarify, when I say get the data, I mean spend half an hour to get the data, not spend days, weeks, months, right?
Yes.
Just get some data, just have so that you can make an informed decision, take the decision and take action.
Yes.
So, and two is a funny story. We used to have someone in the company, a marketing person, and they kept in their invoices to us because we track time, right? So we pay monthly, but we ask people to track their time because it's remote. Like, I have no idea what you're doing all day. So just tell me what you're doing. So they kept billing us for marketing research, which we understood. It's perfectly reasonable. They're marketing manager. They need to do marketing research. But at one point, the chunks of marketing research were like 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, right? And at one point, like, what's this marketing research for? Like, what, like, the ad isn't doing so much better. It's like, oh my God, like you spent 1 hour to make the ad and 2 hours to do market research, right? I understand, because if the ad becomes amazing, I don't mind, right? But they weren't doing better. So it's like, please excuse me, what did you do marketing research on? And they're like, well, I mean, on stuff. Like, no, not stuff. Tell me exactly what you spent 4 hours on yesterday, because you billed us for 4 hours yesterday. Market, I want to know exactly what you've done. And so when we started doing that over and over, she realized that she couldn't lie, because then I started to say, okay, from now on, every single thing you research, I want to be in a doc, like I read this article, and your conclusions from that right below the link.
Right.
No other way are you allowed to do marketing research, only in this manner. If I do not get a deliverable from that 2 hours of marketing research, then I will not pay you for that. And I'm telling you this now, and I'm sending an official letter for that. Guess what? We eventually fired her because she was all obviously stealing from us, right? Because that's what it is. It's theft. If you tell me you work for 4 hours and you actually haven't, maybe you worked half an hour, you are stealing money from me. That's the reality. It's a form of theft. It's one of the 7 deadly sins. So don't do that. Don't steal from me. Don't steal from anyone, right? That's not the road to success. I know people make money by stealing. I'm sure, like, there's trillions of dollars being stolen. Or do you want to be that guy? If you do, whatever, don't. I don't know how to even say it. Just please stop stealing, stop wasting people's time, right? And so this is what my message is on that, right? It's not the ethical way forward. Please stop doing it. Don't steal from people. I know sometimes we steal, right? Whether intentionally or unintentionally, some bits here, some bits there, whatever, it feels odd. But it's like, at the end of the day, you journal about it. You say, did I do the right thing there? And if I haven't, how can I make amends, right? And so on. So that's basically it. And don't do 4 hours of marketing research and then and then don't get better for it. Right. Take notes, get your conclusions, and do better for it. And if you do that, you're fine.
Yeah. No. Again, I hear that loud and clear because you gotta take that action. What's the expression? You can't have paralysis by analysis, right? Like you
Yes.
can't forever be looking and not doing something. So I hear that loud and clear. Robert, this has been really a very informative conversation, and I so love your story and the straightforwardness of it, and how you've broken it down into fashion that just makes sense, right? Nothing comes easy. The success that we're after starts with us. It's not in a book. We could take something from the book, as we just talked about. We could take something from the data, but we still have to put it into practice to get on that pathway to success. So thank you for sharing your story. Very much appreciated. For listeners that wanted to connect with you or learn more about your work, where could we send them?
Well, anyone that Googles my full name, Robert Indries, can just, find me. The first 3 pages are about me. So easily they can find anything they want. I do have a domain name with my full name. And so if anyone wants to basically get in touch with me, they can just email me at robertinders.com. They don't need to, but if they mention your podcast, I promise to reply to their inquiry.
Thank you. Thank you. Very much appreciate that. No, that's awesome. And thank you. And again, thank you, Robert. Thank you for taking the time. This is a great chat. And I really appreciate the insights and congratulations on all that you've done and all you're about to do, because you've got goals and you're working towards them. So congratulations and all the best, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you so much as well.
Back we are here on the podcast. So much thanks and appreciation goes out to Robert for being here and sharing his insights as well as his journey. I really truly appreciate hearing your very awesome story. It's very inspiring. So thank you for being here. Like I said, I really enjoyed my conversation I had with Robert. But if there's one thing I take from the chat that we had, it'd have to be this. In the grand narrative of success, we often hear about the rags to riches stories, tales of individuals who defied the odds and turned their humble beginnings into extraordinary achievements. From tech moguls who started in their garages to athletes who overcame poverty, the world is ripe with examples of individuals who've risen from modest circumstances to achieve audacious outcomes. These stories serve as a testament of the power of resilience, determination, and unwavering belief in oneself. Humble beginnings, far from being a hindrance, can provide the fertile ground for audacious outcomes. When one starts with little, the hunger for success just can be insatiable. It fuels an unyielding drive to break free from the shackles of adversity and create a better future. The struggle for survival can sharpen one's ingenuity, their resourcefulness, and the ability to navigate challenges, traits that are invaluable in the pursuit of audacious goals. These stories showcase the transformative power of humble beginnings. They remind us that where we start doesn't have to dictate where we can go. In fact, it's often the struggle of the early days that instills the resilience and perseverance necessary to pursue audacious outcomes. The lessons learned during the lean times, the hunger for the better life, and the unyielding determination to succeed can become the driving forces behind remarkable achievements. It's important to recognize that audacious outcomes are not solely measured by financial success or societal recognition. They can also take the form of personal growth, resilience in the face of adversity, and the ability to positively impact the lives of others. From community leaders who emerge from marginalized neighborhoods to artists who channel their early struggles into profound works of art, the potential for audacious outcomes is as diverse as the human experience itself. In conclusion, the power of humble beginnings lies in the resilience and determination and unique perspective they instill in individuals. Far from being a limitation, humble origins can serve as a springboard for audacious outcomes. They imbue individuals with the tenacity to overcome challenges, the empathy to understand the needs of others, and the creativity to envision a better future. As we celebrate the stories of those who have turned their humble beginnings into audacious outcomes, let us remember that success isn't confined to the privileged few. It's a testament to the human spirit and the boundless potential that resides within each of us. In the end, it's not where you start that matters most, but the courage, resilience, and unwavering belief in oneself that propels you forward to the extraordinary. Embrace your journey, harness the power of your humble beginnings, and dare to dream audaciously. The world is waiting for you to tell your remarkable story that only you can share. We've sadly come to the end of another episode of the most audacious podcast the internet has to offer. And as always, I say thank you and appreciation to all those lovers of audaciousness for their ongoing support. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, show love to one another, and be audacious.
You've been listening to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by Audley Stevenson. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be audacious.